Hi there, Matteus. It's nice to see that you've written some new essays. Great work. So let me get straight into the corrections. Do copyright laws limit creativity or reward it? Would society function better without such rules and regulations? Okay, the question of is what you needed here. The question of whether copyright laws limit, careful, because this is plural, or reward creativity has been discussed since recorded music began to exist. I believe that copyrights do not limit creativity. On the contrary, it, without the S here, enhanced music. Maybe it might be better to use it enhances music, present tense, because it's something that's always true, rather than past tense. So it enhances music and other, without the S, artistic industries. Okay, this essay will discuss both sides, using examples to demonstrate points in support, without the S, arguments. Okay. Nicely done. There were those little grammatical things, but on the whole, the structure is quite good. So, firstly, I guess that the copyright laws are very important to protect the artists, mainly from the music industry. Okay, this here, I guess, is a little informal. It's a little too conversational for an essay of this type. So let's just get rid of that when you correct these essays. And it's nice to be maybe a little firmer. Just say here, firstly, copyright laws are, no A, very important to protect artists, mainly from the music industry. Okay? Those patent laws prevent their product will not be copied by other people. Okay, here you've got a word choice error. It shouldn't be prevent, but it's those patent laws ensure their product will not be copied by other people. Okay, prevent doesn't work in this context. So, for example, when someone uses, we don't say a music, we say music in general to introduce a video on YouTube. It is important. Don't forget your it here. It is important to put the reference to the music. This spread the work of the artist. Okay, I like your example very much, but this doesn't really fit. You can't connect this to this part of the sentence with a comma, and also grammatically it has a little problem with it. So let's see, let me try it again. It is important to put the reference to the music as this spreads the work of the artist, or because this spreads. Okay, it was just a little with the addition of a little conjunction here, a connector word, you would have been absolutely fine. Therefore, patent laws are important to protect artists. Okay, so even though I liked everything you wrote, if you really think about it, the example you use here isn't really talking about patent laws. I mean, here you're just talking about giving credit to an artist, and I'm not really sure that this is connected to the rest of the paragraph. So maybe you, maybe your example of referencing a video on YouTube is not the best to really support your point. Okay? All right, let's go on to your next paragraph. Secondly, copyrights can enhance the gains of artists given the fact that you have to pay, to use music. Again, no for example, in movies. Okay, that's good. Or for instance, the research from YouTube demonstrated that recording companies which allowed public use who allowed public use of the music on the platform had 15% more profit than those, you needed that here, those who did not. This is, you're missing this here, due to the fact that patent laws say that artists have to receive part of the profits from the channels which use his or her products. So I believe that copyright is a good way to encourage the use and spread of, you need an of here, the spread of something, and the use of something. Okay, so that's nice. There are some grammar things, but they're little words, they're little structural words. So just keep an eye out for them, and just try to be a little more aware of it as you write your essays. Okay, given the examples and arguments, it is easy. It is easy. You need a subject here. To conclude, that I firmly believe that copyright laws give huge benefits to artists nowadays. And I guess that in future, with more digital platforms and more digital platforms, more and more benefits will be included in patent laws. Okay, again, I would avoid this, I guess, in here. Okay, it's nice to just be firm and say in the future with more platforms, etc., etc. All right, nicely done. Let's go on to your letter. Okay, and here it is. Now, the first thing that I want to mention is that the instructions in General Task 1 usually say, start your letter, dear sir, dear madam, or they tell you how to start it in any case. It is really important, though, to include it, okay? I know that examiners look to make sure that you absolutely have an opening, absolutely have an ending. We'll talk about that when I get to your ending. But the first thing you absolutely need to make sure that you have is dear something. So it could be dear sir, madam, something along those lines, okay? So let's get to the letter itself. Good morning, my name is Matteus Galasso, inscription number 27545. I am a student from the economics class, and I come through this email firstly to ask for apologies for my absence at the last exam applied at last Friday night. Okay, there are several things that I want to talk about here in this first paragraph. The one thing is, first of all, I would remove this good morning because it's a letter. We don't know when the person gets it, when the person reads it, so it might not be morning. Okay, so let's just remove that completely. Then this is fine. I'm not really sure what you mean by inscription number. Usually I'm used to seeing student number or registration number, and also you didn't write your case number because it asks for that here. So whatever the task asks for, you really need to put it in, okay? Even little things like if it says ask some questions, make sure you ask like more than one or two. All right, so you have to be really careful with the bullets and including everything they ask for. Okay, so my name is Matteus Galasso. Let's just say you changed this to student number this. I am a student, and I am a student from the economics class. You could give it a number, because I'm sure if it's a university, there's not just one economics class. So something like, Econ 501 or something. Now, this part confused me a little bit. I come through this email. I'm not really sure what you mean here, but for me, what's missing here are some nice formal letter expressions, and there are tons of them. So something like, I am writing, the reason for my letter is to apologize for my absence at last Friday's exam. Something like that, but this expression here doesn't really sound like natural English. So something like that. The reason for my letter is that I would like to apologize for my absence last Friday. Okay, something along those lines. Let's see. Then, my absence is justified because I was ill last week, mainly at the time of the exam. I had a strong headache and low pressure. I went to the hospital and doctor said that I was like that because of my undernourished. Okay, because here's a nice word. Because I was malnourished is even better. Because I was, but not of my undernourished. Undernourished is an adjective, so that doesn't really fit. Excuse me. Okay. Okay. I'm taking medicines now and getting better. I have attached this letter and attestation from the hospital proving that I was there at exam time. Okay, now, you can see that I didn't really change anything except for this word here, but there's really no connection to these sentences. So it's kind of missing some cohesion. It's like one sentence, one sentence, one sentence without anything kind of gluing all these sentences together. So that's what I'd like you to work on in this essay here. So the other thing is that it needs to be a little more formal. It's not that it's informal, but it's not terribly formal either. So it's kind of neutral, and this really should be more formal sounding. Okay, this part was okay. It was fine. My absence is justified because I was ill last week, mainly at the time of the exam. Specifically, I had my symptoms were a terrible headache and low pressure. Due to this, I went to the hospital, and the doctors informed me that malnourishment or malnutrition was the reason for my illness. So you can see that I'm just kind of making it a little, first of all, more cohesive, okay, with using linking devices, and also just making it sound a little more formal. Okay, so I think we can resolve this situation, scheduling a new test. Again, here you want to be more formal, and in general in English, when we want to be more formal, we use less direct language. So what do I mean? Instead of saying I think we can, you want to say something like, perhaps this situation could be resolved by scheduling a new test. So we use modal verbs, and of course can is one, but we use these could, would, may, might, which are more formal sounding. And again, this I think too is also a little too direct. So something like this would be a better alternative. So I would appreciate if we could resolve this situation by scheduling a new test. Okay, so you can see that all of this really changes the language and makes it sound more formal. I am willing to pay for a new exam date. I reversed it because that's what it's supposed to be. It should be exam date. I'm willing to pay for a new exam date if applicable. I know we can get a deal. Okay, now this is really just very informal. So this is the kind of language you absolutely want to make more formal. So something like, I am confident that we can come to a quick resolution to this issue. I mean, it's the same exact meaning, but it just sounds much more formal than this, okay? So thank you for your attention. And then in a formal letter, I would really like to see something else here. So assuming that you wrote, Dear Sir, Madam, this should be yours faithfully, and then your name needs to go underneath. They shouldn't be on the same line typically, okay? So that's my feedback for this. Don't forget to correct these essays and add the mistakes to your error correction list, and please send them all back to us within 24 hours with your next essays. So best of luck, good job, and I will wait for your next essays.